I'm Sunny Garcia, and I was the group leader on the Mount Everest simulation.
I'm Sophia Koulibabiuk, and I was the marathon.
I'm Brady, and I was the observer.
I'm Chris Hill, and I was the physician.
Hi, my name is Robert. I was an environmentalist.
My name is Rachel, and I was the photographer.
As I said earlier, I am the group leader, and we met together on Tuesday. And Tuesday, one of our partners showed up late, and one of our partners had not purchased her simulation yet. So we had to postpone until Thursday to do our simulation.
So we met at 3:30 p.m. A few people were late, and we ran into technical difficulties. However, we were able to come up with a new time meeting. So we will be meeting Thursday at 9:30 a.m. to complete the simulation, and we have all the technical difficulties solved.
However, the weather got so bad last 2 days. We were supposed to meet at 9:30, but we couldn't start until 10:30. Basically, we were forced with 3 problems before we can even start. Technical problem, purchasing simulation, and weather.
We all met this morning, and basically what happened during our simulation is that 3 of us summited and 2 of us got rescued at the top because of altitude sickness. Robert had to give up his day 4 staying at the camp because he was in critical condition down at Camp 2. So we all stayed an extra day at Camp 2 instead of staying at Camp 4. And yes, we all got oxygen but didn't really use it.
As a team, I think something that related was that communication is practice and constructive. And in the process, we had some problems with technology and with group members. And myself, I didn't even purchase the simulation in time, so we could not meet the first day. But that kind of taught us all that we all are going to do this together, and we'll reschedule instead of just leaving me out or leaving me behind and I'll take the fall for it. We did the same thing when we were doing the actual simulation, and when things happened, like he was sick and he couldn't continue, or it said he was in critical condition, we figured we'd just try to cure him and then move on altogether. And I think that relates to team values and team technique that we developed.
Definitely. We all had the choice to move on. There was about 4 of us that were not in critical condition while Robert was in critical condition. And it really came down to, should we keep moving while he rests, or should we stay with him? And I think our decision to stay together as a group definitely kind of defines how we worked as a group.
It showed emotional intelligence.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to point out. Because we were able to recognize and understand our positions versus everyone else's, and being aware of how to work in those relationships as a group.
When we first assigned to the group, we actually exchanged our phone number that day just at the spot.
Brady wasn't there for that either.
Yeah, there was actually a couple people missing, but we actually shared our contact info. And then that over weekend, we actually made a Google Drive, and then we actually built a communication channel, where we can communicate digitally. And then when we first assigned to a group, we all agreed to take a leadership practice inventory, LPI test, that is composed with 30 questions to figure out what types of leadership that we possess. But after all, it was all for just to get to know each other. Since we are all from different background and different culture, it helped us to build teamwork. And then the first meeting, it went totally chaos because we had a technical problem and personal problem. But then nobody actually blamed anybody for, you waste my time, I waste your time. Nobody actually done that. So actually, we kind of built this environment where everybody can be safe, where everybody can trust. Nobody's blaming for nobody. So we actually really started with really great group dynamic. and then I think we carried it on to our mission.
US
Although
that Robert
I started causing a
got,
problem from the
sick
beginning
there.
by my health condition, but I just give up my
in the simulation.
in simulation.
Yeah, but going into it, we had to know each other's responsibilities too, because while knowing our own, because like I had to, like as a physician, like I had to try and figure out how to help you, but that, I mean, I couldn't really figure that out, but that was hard. But we all were checking each other, and since we were all sitting here and we met up together, we could all talk to each other and see, like on your computer, like, all right, do you have this, instead of kind of having like a communication wall with just using the chat and not being all in one meeting. And that was kind of hard. But then having Sunny, like before we make a decision, like just going off the top of our head and just being, all right, let's decide this. Sunny would be like, all right, as the leader, like she would make sure, and then we would, like we changed the decision of going on to a certain camp and some of us staying instead of just jumping right to it and messing up. Like we kind of had to just double check and make sure, and that was fulfilling her role as a leader to make sure, and we were all just kind of checking each other, so that was helping. We were arguing well rhetorically, and it was effective for the improvement of the whole thing as a group. And like just with him, like we were like in 5 dysfunctions, he had to give up some of his his goals, just like Jeff did, and who got 2 demotions and 5 dysfunctions for the overall success of the team.
I think the most it was motivation.
I think so.
Yeah.
Because
we were all like, get to the
self-awareness.
Yes, we were optimistic, even though there were some changes with Robert's ambiguity of being sick. We maintained unit integrity, and we stuck together, and we knew it was crucial for him to get better. So that was total, emotional intelligence there. We knew the right thing to do for everyone in our group. Even though we were all in good condition, we helped our buddy out because.
And then we got bad.
And then we all got bad
we
condition
did,
from
but
it.
we did what we thought was good to keep going.
And behind the
So-
scenes, not only it was kind of hard to regulate, actually how like for emotional intelligence, it was hard to like self-regulate and be self-aware because it was.
You're looking after everyone else too.
Well, and because it was like a technical simulation that was given to us.
Yeah.
So that was kind of, but I think as a team, what we did really well is during the entire simulation, even though it was really technical and we were given all these like things that weren't really us, like you have asthma, stuff like that, we were all sitting here like talking about it constantly and kind of trying to weigh out all of our goals as a team, not just making a decision.
We were arguing effectively, like in 5 dysfunctions, right?
Yeah.
I think that something really interesting is that it was like we all had our own computers and all of our screens, because of our jobs, had different roles. So he had a bunch of buttons and selections that I couldn't click. And so we had to somehow be on the exact same page, but no one's pages actually looked alike. Mine didn't even go with the group because I was observer and I stayed at the ground floor or at the base level. But I think that relates to everyone bringing something to a group but still having to stay on the same page,
Yeah.
And everyone has to worry about what their job is and what their goals are. And we don't really know how to help them with it necessarily because, like, I'm not an environmentalist or I'm not a physician.
Yeah.
But we all had to talk about it and be very, like, verbal and communicate a lot to get to the same page and to get to the next level.
And it was really hard for us because we didn't know exactly what, like the physician, obviously you're not a real physician in real life. The photographer, like you may take really good pictures, but you may not be a photographer.
Yeah.
So I think that was also a challenge, is that we were given roles that in normal, like everyday life, we don't really know a lot about. So that was also a challenge that was good that we overcame.
Okay, so one of the things that we learned in class that really related to this project, I think, was
the institutions, and they have the ability to enable and constrain. And so I think in this simulation, we found ourselves being constrained by the characters that we were and what our roles were, and we weren't able to choose that on our own, as well as our health. But then we were also enabled by the way that we were all able to do this at the same time and communicate with each other and kind of collectively decide how to go about whether going to the next camp or not. And then I guess
I think overall, in the entire project simulation from beginning to end, we were a very good, strong group. I think that there's a lot of different personalities and a lot of things we brought to the table. I think that we all stuck to our roles and completed, well, not necessarily completed our goals in the game, but completed our goals as far as our assignment from beginning to end. And I think that it turned out pretty successfully.
Good job.
Although everyone could not conquer the summit, we all actually have conquered a mountain that is taller and tougher than Mountain Everest. What is taller and tougher than Mountain Everest? Well, it is the wall that within us that block one each other to work as a team.